Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a $3, I think $3, no. How much did we pay for these? $9? Cool, let's try this again. Since you a dumbass. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a $1.50 Harbor Freight chisel and turning it into a high-end, well-polished, well-functioning, beautiful-looking chisel that you can use day to day and actually enjoy using. Stay tuned. Not too long ago, we unboxed these. These are the $9 Harbor Freight set of 6 woodworking chisels. These we unboxed them. They're not bad out of the box. We said as like a carpenter's chisel, something like that, where you're just trying to bash out something for like a hinge or something, or chop out some chunk of wood out of a 2x4 or something. They work great out of the box. Things we didn't like about them was this ridiculous plastic that, probably just cut my finger on. I didn't. The machining on it, if you get up close here, you can tell like there's real bad machining marks and stuff on here. The bevel is really badly machine marked. So it comes out of the package sharp, but it's not woodworker sharp, at least up to our standards, right? So we want to make it better. The other problem with it was these handles. They put this little finial looking thing on the end that's supposed to like hold your chisel together as you're hammering it and stuff, but it's kind of loose and they fall off and it just doesn't feel good. The handle, it's got a bunch of shellac on it, and just the overall feeling in your hand, it works. If it works if you're chopping something out for 5-10 minutes or something, but if you were to use this chisel for say an hour or a couple hours and stuff, by the end of the day your hand's gonna hurt. You know what I mean? Just the sharp edges on the thing, it just makes it very uncomfortable. It gives you a lot of hot spots, and the handle is just prone to, if you're using it a lot, you're gonna get blisters on your hands, and it's just not good, right? So we spent 20-30 minutes worth of work on this 3/4 inch chisel when we unboxed it, just to kind of show what you can bring it up to. This is the same chisel. We cut the bottom off of this, we reshaped the handle a little bit, filed down, got some diamond files out and our diamond sharpening plates. We got all that done, and we sharpened all this stuff down. We ground all this stuff down and made it nice and flat. We sanded it, got it up to like 1200 grit, and then we took it over on the buffing wheel and we polished everything, and it brought it to this really nice, high polished, feels good in your hand chisel. All the edges are kind of rounded over a little bit. We didn't sacrifice the width of our chisel at all. We kept it very nice. It's very nice and smooth now and polished in your hand. The handle's nice and formed. It's not perfect, but it's a good hardwood handle that they have on here. So we just brought it down, cut the length down a little bit, rounded over the back, and now we've got pretty good little, I'd say this is like a hybrid between like a bench chisel and a butt chisel. So a butt chisel, if you don't know, it's got short, kind of a stubby handle that you put your hand on or something, and you can kind of like, butt your palm up against it to kind of do some paring work and chisel work and stuff. And a bench chisel is more something you hold up, strike with a hammer or something, and you can do chopping and things like that. I think with this handle that we made from that handle, we could do both of those. So we got a pretty good functioning chisel out of that. So today, talking a little bit too much now. So today what we're going to do is, I've done all the rest of these. So out of the 6, 5 of these are done. I'm going to do this one with you guys, show you how we do it, because I didn't show it really in the other video. I just kind of showed the final outcome. So I'm going to show you how to turn this into this, and then we are going to use our cedar fence post slat challenge wood box that we milled, our first kind of dovetail box. I figured it'd be kind of fitting. We're going to use that box as a home for these chisels because they don't give you anywhere to really put them. We've got our chisel. The first thing we're going to do is get some diamond files. The reason why you need diamond files is this is hardened steel, right? So you can use a regular file on it, but you are going to be there all day long. You can use sandpaper too if you don't have access to diamond files. I bought these on Amazon. They're pretty cheap. I think they were maybe 10 bucks for this little file, but these are like jeweler's files. They're going to take a little bit of time to get through, but it's better than going on your diamond sharpening stones and just trying to find that bevel and work on it all day long. Our most aggressive grit's 400. These are a lot more aggressive than 400 grit, so they're going to get it down a little bit faster. To get started, we've just got this little flat kind of diamond file. What we're going to do is get all of these rough, like you can hear that, right? All those rough machining marks we want to get off of here. On this bevel, we're leaving the cutting edge alone, and this centerpiece, we're going to leave that be. We're just doing this bevel, that one, that both the edges, and the bottom we're going to flatten on our sharpening stone. So really all we're doing is just taking off the machining marks here and here on both sides. So let's get going on that. We don't have to be perfect. We just want to get these ridges down a bit. We're still going to go on our sharpening stones later and kind of smooth them out and flatten it out a little bit. You don't want to go crazy on the sides. This is a 1-inch chisel. We want to keep it 1 inch. So we're just bringing down these edges just enough to get rid of those ridges and keep it at 1 inch, or at least as close as we can to. I'm not worried if it's slightly underneath 1 inch. I just don't want it to be down to like 3/4 of an inch. So let's get started on this. Mind the cutting edge. It is sharp out of the box. It will cut you. So wear protective gloves if you prefer, or some type of protection. You can already tell just on this little bit, it's starting to smooth out. It's starting to bring those ridges down. You're just seeing a little bit of lines in there from it. If you're okay with that, you can stop here, but I'm going to take it down as far as I can so that I'm not seeing those lines anymore. If cutting around near the cutting edge makes you nervous, then just do as close as you feel comfortable to it, and the rest of it you could do on your sharpening stones or something, just to kind of keep your hand away from it a little bit. Cool thing about diamond files is there's no tooth direction. It basically is just diamond coated piece of metal, so you can file in both directions. You can do this back and forth, where with a metal file you just want to push on the push stroke. The pull stroke isn't really doing anything. I have noticed that they only hardened up probably the last 2 inches of this chisel. Up here is a little bit softer, so if you do notice your file cutting a little bit more down here, just be cautious of that. This is a little bit softer than up here. I found that a rag helps too. Just having a rag on hand to kind of wipe away some of the metal filings and stuff. Okay, that's looking pretty good to me. There's still a little bit of lines up here, but well, that'll come off as we're filing. A little bit of marks there, but to the touch, feels nice and smooth. So I'm going to do this same process on all this surface, and this surface, and I will be back. Okay, we've got all 4 sides filed down nice and smooth. Now I'm going to take the same file and just go around all these little harsh edges and just maybe 7 passes. It's kind kind of knock down any harsher edges that you've made from filing. Kind of give it a little feel. Smooth out some stuff. Feel for like real bad hot spots or anything. And just kind of bring those edges down a bit. Like I said, you don't have to go crazy. And then the sides, if you are like determined that you want that sides to be perfect off the machine, then maybe don't touch the sides and just do the top. But for us, it doesn't really matter. We're supposed to be an inch. It's supposed to be an inch chisel, and we are dead on an inch. So it's if you're taking anything off, you're talking just thousandths of an inch when you're filing this down. You're not taking off just tons and tons of material. This stuff's so hard, and these files are so small, honestly, that you're not taking a ton of material off. The reason why I started with this step instead of going with the handle first is it kind of gives you just that little bit extra leverage if you need to like push this on the edge of a bench, set the file down, and then you can kind of get all the way up to it just by like having this on the bench and pushing it and filing it. So, all right, we're done with that. Let's move to our plates, get our plates on, and make this a little bit more smoother and refined. Got our plates out, clamp it in the vise, ain't going nowhere. A little bit of water on each one. I really need to get some type of cutting oil. Where'd my rag go? I've already lost my rag. Where'd it go? Lose a rag. How do you lose a red rag? It's a giant freaking red rag. The day that I'm having so far. Okay, so we're gonna start on the sides and just bring that edge a little bit more refined. It's not gonna need a whole lot. You're just trying to, if you did file any undulation in the side, you're just kind of smoothing that out a little bit. Not that these, again, have to be perfect, but if you are eventually going to be chopping mortises with them, you want them to be fairly straight. So just in case you got a little crazy with one side or something, but we are already becoming much smoother at 400 grit and looking much more refined, and I'm seeing even scratch patterns all the way down. So I'm going to flip it over and do the other side. This is a 400 grit stone. In case this is the first time you're seeing this. And we're nice on that side. All right, now lay your chisel top down and then just press on one side and you'll feel where it stops. You're now flat on that bevel. So we're just going to do the same with that top bevel. Remember to move around your plates the best you can. Try to wear it somewhat even. Still need a bit more. So the more time you spend with your file, the less time you'll need on your stones. Looking good. Got a little bit, kind of a low spot there, but not bad. So these top bevels are going to take a little bit longer than the sides just because you're filing more material than the edge. It's going to take a little bit longer, but not too long. Yeah, now we're looking good. All right, just got to do this other side. Looking good, just a little bit in that back corner. Okay, perfect, looking good. All right, I'm just gonna move now through the rest of the grits and get us to a 1200. I'm not gonna put it on the strop after yet. So I'm just gonna move through the rest, do the same process on the rest of the plates. But you really, the most of the time you're gonna spend here is on that 400 grit plate, your coarse. These are mainly just quick little 20-second hits just to bring that edge to more of a polished edge. Getting rid of those 400 grit scratches, moving up to 6, then 1,000, then 1,200. Now to 12. So when we're done with this, before we do, well, we're gonna do the bottom first, flatten the bottom next, but then after that, we're gonna take this over to the buffing wheel. A lot of you probably don't have a buffing wheel. It's not that crazy. If you have a bench grinder, you can buy a buffing wheel for it. And I suggest that you do if you are interested in polishing anything or even woodworking. I use the one side all the time that doesn't have any metal in it to bring waxes and things to a really high shine polish. It's nice to have those. But if you do not have a bench grinder or you don't have some type of polishing wheel like that, you can use a Dremel tool. Dremel comes with a bunch of little polishing ends and stuff. You just need that kind of jeweler's rouge compound. That's something ridiculous like 30 or 40 or 50,000 grit or something, and it brings it up to a polish. You could do it that way. It might just take a little bit longer. If you don't have a Dremel, you could probably go to like your auto parts store and stuff and buy like a metal polish, like cream type of stuff. It basically is just a real thick viscous fluid that has a bunch of grit in it, like real high grit. And it's used for like polishing chrome bumpers and things like that. So you can find them usually at like an auto parts store or something. And you could take that and just rub it on with a rag or something and really, really rub it back and forth. That's going to take a long time, and you're probably not going to end up with the high polish that you would get from a machine. But what I would suggest is do that. It'll get it as close as you can, or try to get up even higher grit stones or something, or sandpaper. You know, I don't know if you're going to find sandpaper higher than 1200 grit, but maybe, or something, you know, some kind of really fine polishing file, just something that you can use. Or honestly, you know, like this here is we're at 1200 grit now on all these surfaces, and they feel pretty good. They look decent. You could probably put them on the strop for a while and bring it up to a pretty decent polish. You know, it won't be kind of that mirror finish, but it'll get pretty close. It'll be kind of like a satin finish. So something to think about if you're interested in that, if you don't have a grinder or a polisher. Just wanted to bring that to your attention. Okay, so we've got all of our sides done. Now I'm just going to flatten the bottom just like we flattened them on a regular chisel before. So I'm probably not going to show that, but we're going to get some of that rag off there. I shouldn't have wiped it with that rag. So we're just going to flatten the bottom now of the chisel, and then once that's flat, then we're going to go put it on a polishing wheel, buff it up, bring it to a nice shine, and we'll come back We're going to save the sharpening till last, but that's the last of the metal work we'll have to do, and then we'll do the handle. So let's get this bottom flat, and I will be back when that is done. Okay, so we've got our chisel all polished, buffed up. Got a little polishing residue still on the back, but it is polished and buffed. Now we're going to move on to the handle. Before we do though, I'm going to take some blue painter's tape and wrap it around this this kind of edge banding just to protect it a little bit. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut this little metal piece off the end. Actually, the whole end we're going to cut off. So I'm just going to grab a razor saw, and there's like a little gap between the metal ring and the handle back here. We're just going to kind of nestle the saw in there and cut this off. Being mindful not to, you know, destroy your blade on the metal. There we go. Okay, now we're just going to take a spoke shave, work our way all around it. We've got it in the vise held firmly. We're just going to work our way around, kind of work from the top and work down to this little final little ridge here. The goal is we want to take it and kind of taper from the top right around this area, maybe about an inch in, taper down, get rid of all of these little grooves and these little high spots and ridges. We're just going to make one consistent taper all the way down, almost getting rid of this bottom line here. It's okay if it kind of disappears. We're going to come back with it later, but we're basically taking that down. And as you come to the bottom, you might get a little chip out on this little ridge. Don't worry about that. We're going to sand it smooth later and just kind of melt this into the rest of the handle. So let's get going on that. Ooh, this thing's way too aggressive right now. Bad green direction. So you may have to change this up a little bit. All the rest of these handles I've been able to push into this and kind of go with the grain. The grain direction on this one is backwards, so I'm having to pull to get a nice cut. So in that case, just start down here, work your way up a little bit, just don't go too far. Then go to your fine side and kind of smooth things out. And just work your way around. So just keep working yourself around. Get your shape in place. I've been coming to the top, if you can, on the very shallow side of your spoke shave, and just start rounding over the top of this handle a little bit. It depends on the wood grain of your handle that you're working on, which way the grain direction's going. But if you notice it's taking off big chunks, just stop and use your round it over later in sanding. But basically, you're working your way around. This is kind of the ideal right here. You want that smooth taper through, all those lines gone. This bottom line still kind of there, but the other one's gone. So we still have a little bit more material to take off here. You can see some of the finish, some of that original top, so we're going to round that. So basically just working your way around and getting it to a shape that you feel comfortable with. All right, we've got our handle pretty much roughed out, shaped all the way around with the spoke shave. Now we're just going to take the Dremel and kind of smooth everything out, get everything kind of even, leveled out, and kind of just finish shaping everything and just smooth it out the best we can. So let's do that. All right, so once you've done the Dremel, you can see that initial line, or this first line here, is just, I don't know if you could tell, it's just barely showing. I also put my light down to the side. It just helps cast shadows across the handle a little bit better when you're shaping and stuff. But yeah, finally I've just got some 220 grit, and I'm just going around with my thumb. You'd be amazed how much that just kind of smooths out little ridges and stuff like that and just forms it a little better. Your thumb will just kind of form to the handle. So just kind of softening things. There's a couple little gashes where the spoke shave just kind of took a chunk out, but you're just kind of going around that with your thumb and just, you're not going to get rid of it, but you can kind of just melt it into the handle a little bit. Kind of soften those up a little bit. So I just kind of go around there, get it nice and smooth, and then basically take the piece of sandpaper in your hand and take the end of it and just stick it into your palm and kind of wrap around it, and I'll do a twist for a little while and just twist all the way around, and that'll help get this this end kind of smoothed out and smooth out that end grain a little bit. So that is about ready, I'd say, for the next step. So we've got everything sanded. Our handle's nice and smooth now, feels good in the hand. We're just going to give it a little decorative touch, get the wood burner out, and we're just going to trace these lines with the wood burner and kind of burn them in a little bit. So that'll define this end one here really well, and it'll redefine the one we kind of left here. So let's get going on that. Go. A bit of oil on the handle. Now, it all depends on what you want to use. You can finish this in any way. You can put some stain on it. You can put tung oil on it, linseed oil. You can just leave it raw if you want. It all depends on your personal preference. You can stain it, put lacquer back on it if you want. It's up to you. I love just a little bit of linseed oil on it. I don't even put that much. Kind of the rule is with tool handles, with linseed oil, you're supposed to do it, like once a day for a week, and then once a week for a month, and then once a month for a year kind of thing. I ain't got time for that. So basically I'll put a coat on, let it sit here for an hour, kind of soak in a little bit. Come back, I'll put another coat on, let it sit there for an hour or so, and then I'll just coat the whole thing in beeswax and kind of buff it to a shine. And that is good enough for me. It's good enough that it puts a little bit of protection on the handle, but I'm using this. I don't care if it, you know, I'm not really abusing these type of handles. They're never gonna see water. They're never gonna see a ton of dirt or anything. They're gonna be just my hands essentially and whatever mallet I'm striking them with. But pretty happy with the outcome here of the handle. It's got some really cool weird grain in here, which we had to fight through a little bit. Like I said, the rest of the handles were fine. This one had some like squirrely grain in it, so it was a little bit difficult. We got a little nick there that, you know, there and there where the grain just wasn't working with us, and we had a little bit of tear out. But other than that, like, look at that. Look how pretty that looks. That is super cool. So turned out really well. I'm pretty happy with the handle. So the last thing we have to do now is untape all this and get an edge on this thing, and it'll be ready to be a good working tool. Ready to sharpen it. For this one, I usually do them freehand, but this one I just wanted to show you guys how to do it in the little honing guide. So this is the chisel kind of put in the honing guide. You can kind of see it through there. There's like little grooves. This outer edge up here is for like larger stuff like hand planes and things. And just got a little wheel that rolls on the plate. You basically put it in. They sell like measuring tools and stuff to find the perfect angle, but usually I'll set it in and just press the chisel in until it's sitting flat on the plate, and that's good enough for me. So there's a bunch of still machining marks and stuff on the edge of this bevel, so we're just going to go on the 400 stone for a while until those are gone, and then we'll just burn through the remaining stones. So let's get this thing sharp. So with the honing guide, you basically just roll it back and forth. It basically locks your chisel in so that you're at that perfect bevel and you don't have to worry about your hand slipping or anything if you're not confident with sharpening by hand. Just make sure this screw is tight and holding this in tight. You don't need to put too much pressure on the chisel as well. I usually will hold it with my hands and then use my kind of middle fingers to keep some downward pressure on the bevel, but not pressing on the honing guide. And just like anything else, you're moving around your plate to make sure you kind of wear it evenly. When we were doing our back or the sides and stuff, I was using the bottom of these plates predominantly. So for this, I'm going to focus mainly on the top of the plate, just to, again, kind of as an attempt to try to wear the plates pretty even, keep them somewhat flat. Once in a while, pull it off, wipe it down, check it. Yeah, we're looking really good. Okay, so all of our machining marks are off now. If you can see that or not, if it's not glaring. So all of our machine marks are off. Everything's looking good. I do have a little, I think that might be the burr on the outside. I saw a little notch here. I'm just gonna file it a little bit more just to make sure if that is a little imperfection in the edge of the blade that we get that out. The last thing you want to be doing is go to chisel and you're leaving lines and stuff in your work, because that will do it. All right, so now we're just moving on to 6, 1000, and 1200. If you do use honing guides and you are wanting to learn how to sharpen by hand, that looks good. I would suggest doing it or learning on a larger chisel like this 1-inch chisel here. Smaller, they have more space, material space to rest on the surface of the plate, so it's less likely to wobble on you. Where something like a smaller, like a 3/8 chisel or something, or a 1/4 inch chisel, those don't have that much to be able to like get a good purchase on. So if you do want to practice to learn how to sharpen by hand without a honing guide, I would suggest starting on a 1-inch chisel, or even 3/4 inches is probably fine. 1/2 inch is probably pushing it. That's probably, you'll want to go with a honing guide if you're not comfortable. But I find as the smaller chisels, when doing it by hand, I just I tend to just put a little bit more pressure on the bevel when I'm holding it with my index finger, and that holds it down a little bit better, keeps it from wobbling. Very cool. All right, looking good. We can come out of our honing guide now. Just loosen it up. Be cautious not to hit your blade that you just sharpened. So now we've got a little bit of a burr on the back. I'm just going to go on the very edge of our 1200, lay it flat, and just the slightest little pullback there, and that knocks that off. So nothing left to do now but just strap it. So putting it bevel side down, obviously I've got a lot of compound on this. If yours is not loaded with compound, put some on it. And just gonna do about 50 strokes with some pretty good downward pressure. Yep, we are shaving sharp. Nice. All right, we are ready to go. Okay, final step. I basically just take a little bit of steel wool and some beeswax furniture polish, and I go around the whole handle and just kind of buff in some of this wax. Helps bring it to a little bit more of a shine, and it feels really, really good in your hand too. So I'll just go around this. Work it in the end grain all around the sides. That should be good. Then clean rag, just go around and wipe off any excess. Just soaking that into the pores, kind of work it in with your hand a little bit. And we are ready. That looks good. Nice little shine to it now. All right, guys, so that's it for today. This has taken probably 3-4 days to do, but I've been doing it like 10-20 minutes here and there. So, but wanted to thank you for watching this. This is how you take a $1.50 Harbor Freight chisel and turn it into something that you're really going to enjoy. A good, useful tool that looks good, feels good in the hand. You can work with it. So far, from the initial testing I've done, it has amazing blade retention, good sharpness. Like, we're paring some pretty thin stuff there, and it was handling it without barely pushing through. So that's it for today. If you like this type of content, subscribe down below, comment, give me a thumbs up, whatever you want to do. I'll see you on the next one.